everyone, I'm Mrs Inglis and welcome to the Artful Crew. Today we are going to have a little play around with some paper manipulation just like these. So we're going to learn some of these techniques and then use it in some of our illustrations to add some interest and some texture. So watch the video, grab your materials and come along and join me as we create something like this that uses paper manipulation. Okay, for today's materials, we're going to need some white paper. You also need a grey lead pencil, eraser, black markers, coloured pencils, paints or anything to colour in, scissors and glue. Today we're looking at paper manipulation. Now, paper manipulation is when you change paper from a flat piece of paper to something that is more sculptural. Now, some types might be origami. You can have quilling is another art form. You have paper cuts, and lastly, another one could be paper sculpture, but there are many other types. Here are a few ways that we can manipulate paper. We can cut it, we can tear it, we can fold it, we can create fringes out of it, we can curl it, we can pleat it, and some of these we're going to use in our illustration today to create texture. Alright, I'd love you to have a go along with me, so grab some paper and some scissors and create some of these paper manipulations. First we're going to make a fringe, so cut some strips and cut little lines all the way along, making sure you're not touching the top. And then you can glue the top that hasn't been cut. You can see with my second one, I've also curled up the edges to create a more curly fringe. Next, we are going to make some little curls out of thinner strips. So cut tiny little thin strips, curl it. Now I have used a paintbrush. You could use a pencil, toothpick, depending on how tight you want your curls. Don't forget, you could always pause this video as we go along too, as you make your own. Now we're just going to cut some little shapes and then fold it along the middle of the shapes. Now you can glue them down and overlap them to create a really interesting texture. My next type of paper manipulation is just going to be cutting really thin strips and then layering them together to create almost like a spiky pattern. So for activity 1, this part's optional. You can use coloured cardboard already, or you can make coloured paper like I am. Try and paint or colour in your paper with a bit of texture and interest. Make sure if you're using paint not to have it too wet, otherwise it's going to take a little bit of time to dry before you can actually cut it up and use it for paper manipulation. Step 1 is to draw your animal. Try and fill up the whole page if you can. You can copy me if you would like to. I'm drawing a poodle. I'm starting with a oval around the top. And from there I'm going to draw the poodle's snout, which is almost like a triangle. I'm going to draw its floppy ear now, so almost like a tear shape underneath. And then I'm going to move on to its neck. And once again, this is a bit fluffy, so another oval almost connecting the ear and the snout. From there, I'm going to draw its body. Sort of curving down. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, another curve down. From there, I'm going to draw the legs. Two straight line with a little oval in the middle. And then another straight line at the top. Doing the same for both legs. From the little oval in the middle, drawing 2 straight lines down towards the feet. Same on the other side. From here I'm going to draw some little details like the nose. I'll draw some eyes. I'm going to draw extra details like the back legs and the tail. Once you're finished, you can get your marker, make sure it's waterproof, and draw over your lines. You can always change things up. I'm changing my fluffy bits into a bit more fluffy looking. Step 2 is to start making our paper manipulation. So grab your cardboard or paper that you made before. I'm cutting strips of paper and then cutting them again into little pieces and using the pleats to create my fluffy parts. Gluing them on, I'm placing them where I think the texture or the fluffy parts would be. The last step is to colour in your artwork. You can use paint like I am, or you can use pencils or textures, anything that you have available. If you'd like to extend yourself, you can do activity 2, where we're going to create a scene using a few different paper manipulations. I'm going to draw a tree with a koala in it. You can copy my design, or I'd love to see your own design as well. Think about your favourite animal and where it lives. Think about what things you can include that might work really well with adding some paper manipulation too. Now that we've drawn our scene, it's time to outline in marker. Try and pick one that is waterproof if you're going to use watercolours. Now it's time to start painting our scene. If you're using watercolours like I am, just remember to start painting parts that are separate to each other so it has time to dry. I even had to step away for a little bit, have a little walk around, and while little parts were drying. If I paint while it's still wet, things next to each other, they will bleed in together. My painting is all dry now, and I can add some of my paper manipulation to add some texture and interest to my illustration. You can see that I've used my grey paper that I created and used the fringe to create a fur effect on my koala. You can see that I'm layering them all together, starting from the bottom and working my way up to give it the fur look. You can see with some of my fringes, I'm actually placing it on the side or an angle, like on the arm and near the neck, so that it fits nicely as well. Now it's going to get trickier as I get to the smaller parts, like around the face, and you can see that I'm just cutting some really small bits and putting them around. And at the side, I'm only using one little piece of paper, fringe at a time to go around. You can see I'm also shaping it, almost like giving the koala a haircut so that it doesn't have straight edges everywhere. You can also see that I'm only gluing at the top of the fringe, not where the fringe is cut, so that the fringe can move and it looks like it is fur. If you think this might be a little bit difficult, you can always do a simpler type of paper manipulation. similar to what I'm going to be doing for the leaves, just to add a bit of interest to maybe two different parts of your scene. So for the leaves, I'm just cutting out some teardrop shapes or almond shapes and then folding it in half and only gluing one side of the leaf so that part of it sticks up. This sort of creates the effect that we're trying to go for, where things look a little bit 3D. I hope you enjoyed creating your artwork using some paper manipulation just like these. I'd love to see what you created, if you created just one little animal or if you created a scene using multiple different paper manipulations. I would love to see it, so don't forget to share. And I'll see you next time. Bye!